Welcome back everyone to another video, and in this video we'll be discussing about typecasting in Python. Now we have already discussed about variables and data types, so this video is actually a dedicated video, you can say, for typecasting. Now what is typecasting? Typecasting is actually made up of two words, type and casting. The type over here is the data types, right? So we know that we have two kinds or two categories of data types, the primitive and the non-primitive data types. In primitive we have data types like int, float, string, boolean, right? Yeah, boolean. So these are the data types that is actually defined or actually recognized by the Python interpreter. While in non-primitive we have classes, then all those kind of, like, let's say, linked lists or whatever you define, that is non-primitive, right? Now what is typecasting? So what is casting? Casting over here means changing. Over here what we want to say is we are changing the data type from one type to another. So if you have to define typecasting, it is actually a method so that you can convert the data type of a Python variable from one type to another data type, so as to perform whatever operation that you want. Okay, now we have two types or two kinds of typecasting. One is the implicit typecasting and the second one is the explicit typecasting. So what is an implicit typecasting and what is an explicit typecasting? In layman's term, implicit typecasting is actually done by the Python interpreter. Okay, so the typecasting that is done by the Python interpreter without any involvement of the user is what you call as the implicit typecasting. So here you can see that Python converts the data type from one type to another data type automatically. Now automatically means there are already code written by someone so that Python or the interpreter performs the conversion, the type conversion. Okay, so we as programmers, we don't have to involve in this process of how to convert from one type to another type. Now you should know the main philosophy of the implicit typecasting in Python. The reason is that for different languages there are different kinds of philosophy. Like in Java, the philosophy is like converting, let's say, like if you're familiar with the Java programming language, there is a kind of hierarchy. Like at the very bottom you have boolean, and then you have character, then you have let's say short, then integers or something like that. So in the philosophy of Java is to convert something from the lower data type to the higher data type. Okay, this is the philosophy for Java, not for Python, remember this. But in Python the main philosophy is to prevent any loss of data. So if you're in this example, like if you have a number, let's say 5, and you have performed certain operation, like let's say you have A as 5, B as 6.2, you have performed an operation of its addition. You performed addition for A and B and you store the result in C. The answer that you want for this is 11.2 and not 11, right? You want 11.2, you need the decimal, right? Python knows this, and what it tries to do is it keeps this value and not this, isn't it? So this is the meaning of prevention of loss of data. It converts one type to another type automatically without any loss of data. Okay, then we have the explicit typecasting. Here Python, the interpreter, does not involve itself to perform any kind of data type conversion. Instead, we as the user, we force the Python, this should be interpreter, sorry, we force the Python interpreter to convert a data type into another. So when you, so in like if I have to conclude it, implicit type conversion is done by the Python interpreter, while explicit type conversion is done by the programmers. Okay, so we have learned about the theory and all the concepts. So let's do a quick example and we are good to go. So we'll be performing a small example over here. First we'll be doing with the implicit type conversion. So let's say we have a variable called a, which is 5, and another variable called b, this is 6.2. And now the first thing we will be doing is printing the type of variable a, which is type of a. Similarly, type of variable b, which is type b over here. Next we'll be performing an operation called addition. So a plus b, then printing the type of this result as well. So variable c, and over here type c, then printing each value. Yeah, so let's see. What we have done is we have defined two variables a and b, each with a particular value. Next we have displayed the type of each variable a and b over here. Next we have performed an addition operation over here. Then we have displayed the type as well. Okay, so we have three types displayed over here. After that we have displayed the values of each of the variables, right? So over here in the output you can see over here, this is for a, this is for b, and this is for c. A is an integer, b is a float. So what Python is doing over here is it has seen that a is an integer and b is a float. So the user might want to keep the result as a float, because the decimal has a significance. If you have learned in physics that decimal is quite significant, and you shouldn't what you see as round up to an integer unless asked or told so, right? So since decimal is quite important in the field of maths, physics, and even in computer science, so what Python has done is it has keep the result as float. So as you can see over here, a, b, and this one is c. It has kept the decimal point value as well, or the floating point number as well. So this is for implicit type conversion. Next we'll be doing one explicit type conversion. So what I mean by explicit type conversion is, let's say I have a string and inside the string I have 10, and over here I have another variable, but instead of using it as a string I'm keeping it as an integer. Next, the same thing that I've done over here, I'll be printing the type. So num1, num2, num1 over here, num2 over here, right? Now if you perform an operation like addition, in this case you will be getting an error, because we at one side we have a string and on the other side we have an integer. And since I've told you that Python follows a rule of not of avoiding data loss in any way possible, so it will throw an error saying that it cannot perform the required operation of adding an integer with a string. So if you see over here, these two operations cannot be performed by Python. If you're doing another programming language like Java or maybe JavaScript, it will be performing there, but not in Python in this case, because the philosophy is different for Python. So for this, what you need to do is you need to convert. So you need to convert. For that, we have num1 will be converting it into an integer, then plus num2, and we're good to go. So let's run this first. So let's see what has actually happened over here. So we have a string over here, as you can see over here. 10 is a string, while this one is an integer. So it is displayed string and integer. This is num1, this is num2. And what we did over here is we have converted this string to an integer, and then we have added both the integers, and we have got this, the number 30, which is an integer, of course. So we can do another thing. We can say str int num1 plus num2. So if we do this, we'll be getting the value as an integer, but let's say, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get both the values, like I'm getting both the value as well as the type. So type over here, similarly type over here as well. And now let's check. Num1 is not defined. Maybe yeah, over here. For the first one, wait, yeah, this one is better. Yeah, so for the first one, if you see over here, this one, this is an integer, because we have converted this num1, which was a string previously, to an integer, and then we have added both the integers to get a resulting integer, right? So this is an integer. The second one, the second operation over here, this is the first operation, and this is the second operation. For the second operation, we have converted num1 to an integer, we have added both of the integers, but then the resulting integer was converted to a string. So you can see over here, it's a string, right? So this is how you can perform explicit type conversion in Python. So if you like this video, then hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so you never miss an update, and I'll see you next time.